What's up, residents? Today we have another special video featuring GojiCenter and other Jacob, otherwise known as Kaiju News Outlet. Both these guys are really awesome. I really recommend going to check out their pages. And before we start our conversation, look at this Dangerville t-shirt. If you want it, head down below, grab yourself a copy of shirt, you know. Anyway, so guys, let's move on with the discussion for today.
All right.
So I wanted to talk to you guys because, you know, the MonsterVerse is maybe ending. I don't think it's not ending fully. We know that there's the Kong Netflix series coming out, but the main movies, the main, I guess, beginning phase is over. So I wanted to talk with you guys about your favorite parts of the MonsterVerse. Like, what are you obsessed about in this series? So I'll start off with GojiCenter. All right, so just let me know like some of your favorite parts about this series, because I know the fans want to know what you like the most.
Okay, well, I'm just probably one of the biggest fans like in the MonsterVerse fan base, I think, because and I'm pretty sure you are too. You guys are too.
Definitely.
We love going into deep lore. We love origins. We love knowing what happens in the back end. So anything that kind of brings us lifts the veil behind the story of these kaiju is just simply amazing to me. For example, in Godzilla vs. Kong, we got to see Kong's lair. We got to see what the Kongs actually are capable of, correct? So that's one of the few things that I really like. Obviously, I like the kaiju battles. I like seeing Rodan, Mothra, Godzilla just, you know, ruin shit. And then you have, I feel like one of my favorite parts was just seeing Kong and Godzilla just battle it out. And, like, kind of seeing this ancient rivalry being alive once again.
Come to life. Yeah, no, I totally relate with that. That's actually one of my favorite parts of the entire series as well, because I actually was able to watch it opening day or the day after opening day, you know, one of my local theaters. I went to the IMAX theater. It was pretty much just me, my dad, and a few of my friends. There was a few other people. Well, actually, there was a good bit of people. Actually, during the pandemic, there was more people at Godzilla vs. Kong than there was for King of the Monsters, so I was pretty psyched. But to me, it felt like we had our own private showing. And it was awesome when Kong's on the ship there and you know Godzilla's coming. Like, obviously we cover this stuff, we knew it was about to happen. We did trailers and everything. Being a Godzilla YouTuber almost ruins the fun, but not quite, because you just have to get more into it and you know stuff before it comes up on screen. But even knowing that they were gonna fight right there, when you hear Godzilla's little and it's like coming out and Gia starts to freak out, and it's just like that anticipation. I was just like that what is it, that sort of like roller coaster feeling that you get in your stomach, that good anxiety, that good adrenaline started to pump, and I was just like, yeah. I was like, here we go. So that was definitely, honestly, one of my favorite parts. That was a great feeling, and, you know, something I guess all us movie fans and goers really want to feel. If a movie makes you feel that, then hell yeah.
No, yeah.
What about you, other Jacob?
Well, I mean, besides, you know, Doug being on screen, of course, for a couple seconds.
Doug.
Besides that, just kind of like what you said, just those moments where you just see those childhood memories, basically, that a lot of us have, the big monsters fighting out on the big screen. You know, one moment in particular for me was for King of the Monsters, you know, just seeing the build up and hype up to the movie with, you know, because Godzilla had been in a couple American movies before, obviously, and so you've kind of seen him before. It was so awesome seeing him, of course, but then seeing, you know, Rodan and King Ghidorah and Mothra all for the first time, entities you really truly thought would never leave movies outside outside Japan, I should say, seeing them sort of on the big screen, and, you know, and seeing them on posters and advertisements, TV and all that that was so exciting. And then for the movies themselves, you know, just just the big monsters throwing down, the kaiju throwing down. Really, I mean, even obviously as a news page, I know pretty much everything beforehand.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even with that and all the spoilers, it's still so awesome to see stuff, even when you know that's going to happen. Like what you said with the aircraft battle scene, like
Yeah.
in the theaters, even though pretty much seeing that entire fight before, it was still so incredible to see it. And then
Yeah.
the Hong Kong scene and Godzilla versus Kong and all the other fight scenes from the other three films are all just, it's so awesome just to be able to actually live those in theaters now from around the world. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I mean, I'm agreeing, and that's the truth behind this is that we're all three of us are super MonsterVerse fans. Like Goji, you saying how you love the lore. That's one of the best parts about the MonsterVerse. That's why it might be my favorite series in the entire Godzilla, legacy, because there's actually really deep lore involved. With no offense to the old Godzilla movies, they're awesome, they're classic, they're like, oh, they're in film history and all that. But they don't ever really have lore because the movies dink and dunk between like different settings, different like universes. Like this is Godzilla, but then the next movie is a complete different Godzilla, and it's like there's some lore, but there's no real like combined story lore. It's more like there's just lore for each of the monsters. Like Godzilla's always, Godzilla. Anguirus is always Anguirus, and they have the traits that, get passed down, so they have their own monster lore. But the MonsterVerse has its own lore, and I love that. But something else that I really like about the MonsterVerse is the fatality kills that they like to do in every single movie. I rewatched all of them, and it doesn't matter. Godzilla 2014, the Kiss of Death, awesome. Kong's, how he rips out the Skullcrawler's insides,
Classic
awesome. Yeah, and King Ghidorah, he rips his head off and he's in his mouth, and then he blows it off. Fatality.
He did it twice.
And then yeah, he did. Yeah, he ripped his head
Boston.
off twice. He's got an obsession with that. So, and then again, of course, in Godzilla vs. Kong, we have Kong pretty much Sub-Zero fatality, Mecha Godzilla, to where he rips his spine out and rah, he even does like the pose of like the fatality popping up on screen during Mortal Kombat. So I love that.
Even the Nazuki, or Bat, however you want, whichever you prefer, fatality, and the Skullcrawler and Mechagodzilla fatality too from Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh yeah.
Those two are
sweet.
great too.
Yeah, it almost makes you think like we're not watching a PG-13 movie, which I guess is what they are. Like when they got pretty gory.
Yeah, if you pay
that.
if you pay attention to how Mechagodzilla killed the Skullcrawler, like spreading his limbs out and then just hitting him with the beam, it's the same way that Ghidorah just nailed Rodan in the ocean. Like he just spread him out and then bam in the middle. It's like the same exact concept.
I see what you're getting at. A little bit of that Ghidorah takeover thing going on.
Yeah,
see?
so this mecha AI, this mecha AI remembered what he did to Rodan. He's like, oh, I'm gonna do this to this dude too. Pow, there's paradigms here, and I love it.
Yeah, that's so cool, and that's Godzilla vs. Kong was so good at that, just making everything come all together. Each MonsterVerse movie is their own thing, which is another great part about the MonsterVerse movie. But this how Godzilla vs. Kong actually kind of tied stuff together was really, really cool. And still though, one of my favorite parts, like I love Godzilla vs. Kong, and I love all the movies, but I don't know if there was ever a feeling greater than when Godzilla 2014 came out, and we had that really epic build-up, slow with the smoke coming up, and the where was it? And the was it San Francisco, I believe? And Godzilla's tail, he flips through the smoke and debris, and then it goes up, and then he leans down and he lets off that roar that's really only like 5 seconds long. But when I seen that in the theaters the very first time, I was like, holy crap, he just roared in my face for like 5 minutes. It just felt so intense because that was the first time we ever seen Godzilla in that sort of fashion. Like all his other prior versions were either a guy in a suit, awesome, classic, that's fine, but you can't always take that super serious. And then the 1998 Godzilla looked awesome, looked really good for the time, CG wise, but of course it wasn't as monstrous, it wasn't as like God worthy as legendary Godzilla. So when he just reared into the camera and just screamed in our face, and then it just goes wah, wah, and he just keeps going, and everything's like actually blowing at you. It feels like, man, what a ride! That was awesome.
You just close your eyes or not even just hear it. It feels so good. Kind of like with Ren when he like blew the crap out of that skull crawler. It's like
Oh yeah, and like he's like even with his eyes are all rolled back and it's all creepy, and he's like and it's like that's pretty much how I feel when Godzilla roared in my face.